Hello and welcome to my new Let's Play. It's a bit of a break from Skyrim because we've pretty much completed all the, well, most of the missions. Now, Daggerfall's a different game, it's the second in the series. This is Tamriel. This covers pretty much the whole world of the Elder Scrolls. There's Akavir, of course, and there's Atmora and Yakuda, but we've never been there. We're going to select a character from the Somerset Isle. As you can see, it's spelt slightly different. It's a high elf. They are the Thalmor and the evil guys when it's the time of Skyrim, but right now they're tall, golden skinned and immune to paralysis, which is pretty good considering that spiders paralyze you. Paralysis is a very hardcore spell. Now, to make our super character, we're going to go and choose a custom character. We're going to go for a mage because high elves are the best at magic, and we basically want to choose skills, primary skills, as alteration. Alteration is shielding, effectively. Destruction is attacking magic. We also want to choose restoration as well because that gives us healing magic. So our top primary skills to start off with are going to be all offensive combat based magic, and for our secondary skills, these are the ones that we get a little bit of a boost on. We're going to add on long blade, we're going to also add on a critical strike, and we'll add just another kind of combat skill. And what this does is this gives us the opportunity to get ahead while our magic is boosting up. At the start you're not going to be, well, we'll choose dodging, but we're not really going to be able to have enough magic skill in the spells to actually do anything. So we need some combat skills to get ourselves through the first couple of levels, otherwise it's going to be really difficult. Most people end up playing Daggerfall, they end up dying a lot in the primary dungeon, and it's no fun just to constantly die. So you might as well give yourself a little bit of a head start, then you can move on to the magic and then become a bit of an overpowered character. We're going to choose a few more kind of alternative skills for minor skills. These don't really matter so much. These matter much more in terms of leveling. You'll notice I selected Thaumaturgy. That's a new kind of mage skill. They had loads of skills back then. You know, you can choose to be talk orcish, but that's not really that useful. What we're going to do is we're going to put the max hit points up to maximum. I'm going to push it up to 30. That makes the skill advancement for each class more difficult. That means you have to actually do each skill more often to level up, but we can cope with that. What we'll also do is alter our stats a bit. We're going to choose spell absorption as one of our skills, so we're going to take a bit off willpower, a bit of strength, which isn't going to be that useful. Strength useful for carrying stuff, useful for damage, but that's not going to be only useful for the first few levels. What we really actually need is agility and speed, because they are really useful in terms of actually hitting anyone. If you don't have the agility, you can't hit anyone, and if you have high agility, of course, you get to dodge. And speed also allows you, the other skill that we're going to bump up, allows you to swing your sword a lot faster. So the difference between 70 speed and 50 speed is roughly you're getting about double the amount of hits on an opponent. If you have a low speed, you're just going to be swinging that blade really, really slowly. So we're going to pile a lot of points into speed. Persuasion, not that useful. Again, it's useful in terms of if you're going around talking to the so-called NPCs around Daggerfall, so asking for directions and things, but you don't really need it. Everyone's going to be rude to you with a persuasion of 10, they're going to not like you, i.e. you're going to be an ugly, horrible, smelly looking person, but that doesn't matter. Now, to help bring down our skill advancement difficulty, what we want to do first of all is add on a few advantages to ourselves. We had low willpower, and willpower protects you against spells. You can add on all these other immunities to diseases and things like that, and to lightning, but the best thing to be immune to is just magic in general. Spell absorption is brilliant because it not only protects you from magic, but it recharges your magicka when you get hit. And this is really useful in Daggerfall because your magicka doesn't recharge. It's not like in Skyrim where it slowly recharges. It's not even Oblivion, I think it recharged slowly as well. But you have to go to sleep for your magicka to recharge. So you do need a way to charge up, either through potions, which no one really bothers with, or through spell absorption, which is just getting hit by magic. We're also going to boost up our intelligence, sorry, our magicka, so it's 3 times the intelligence, and that makes us into an awesome magic user. As you can see, skill advancement is just boosted all the way up. To balance that out, we're adding some disadvantages. We're going to make ourselves critically weak to paralysis. If you remember, we're a high elf and we're immune to paralysis, so that kind of cancels out, so that's a bit of a cheat. We're also going to have critical weakness to diseases. Only very early on animals actually cause disease, such as rats. As long as we can cope with the first few levels, they will soon disappear, so diseases won't be an issue, so we can add that. We're also going to say that a few items, early level things like leather and chain, are not available to us, so we don't really actually need them. We're just going to concentrate on wearing plate armor. Even though we're a mage, I don't think it actually has any disadvantages. We're also going to cut out a few materials that we can't get. Adamantium's so rare to get, so I don't really think it's even worth considering it. So we'll add that to our list. And Dwarven, it's not, well, it does turn up, but it's not really that useful. We'll kind of say that's forbidden as well. So we just want to make sure a few items that we're never going to use are going to be forbidden, and for instance we can just choose axe here because we don't really want to use axes, and that pushes our skill advancement for class down to average again. So we're essentially a normal character, except we've got that 30 max hit points per level instead of 6, and we're also immune to magic, and we recharge magic, and we've got 3 times the amount of spell points. And this kind of custom class just gives you brilliant, well, it essentially makes you much better than one of the normal classes you can pick, such as warrior. Anyway, we're going to go through our biography, and this basically boosts up your stats a bit more, so we'll choose destruction. We are motivated by riches, knowledge, helping others, fame and fun. Of course that changes people's reputation as commoners, nobility and people towards you. And here we can obviously just improve our fighting skills a bit, or we could have improved our swimming a bit. We've either saved ourselves a cuirass, a pearl, and this is just our starting equipment. We can choose 100 gold pieces. A book and a pearl, to be honest, is more worthwhile than 100 gold, because everything here is sold for a huge price. We'll take ourselves a suit of armor. If you choose a suit of armor, you just get a whole suit of iron armor rather than random items. And we are friendly at most. Let's say we're friendly with mages, and then we hate assassins, and we are intimate friends, so that's sexual, like a sexual friends as a mage. And we can choose one of our gods. I think Julianos is going to be the best one here, because I think that improves magicka. I think, for instance, if you choose Zenithir, the god of commerce, you actually get better in mercantile, but we don't really care because money is very easily to come by here. So we've got a bit of reputation, better reputation with commoners, not really too bothered about that. If I think back, maybe I would have preferred having a decent reputation with merchants. You can improve your reputation with commoners by doing certain quests, and this is the whole kind of role-playing element. We'll select this big haired guy as our character. There's not too many, you can't actually alter your face, it's just about 6 or 7 presets. Now this is quite a decent roll for us. We get -1 damage on that doesn't really bother us. -1, not too much of an issue, considering that we can do a lot more damage with spells, and we can do a lot more damage by being fast as well. We'll just pile everything into intelligence because we really want all our points into magicka. Of course, you can pile, if you're a warrior type, you're almost better off putting everything into agility. Now we can actually add a few bonus points into our primary skills, major skills, minor skills. This major, minor, primary skills is how you level up. You have to kind of level up a certain amount of a primary skill, a certain amount of major skills, a certain amount of minor skills to actually level up. And the more primary skills that you level up and major skills you level up, the faster you will level up. But right now all we want to do is just pile points into our destruction, because we'll need that. Destruction is a very difficult stat to level up, because you actually need to practice combat magic onto people, whereas if you want to practice your alteration or shield spells or restoration or healing spells, you can just cast that whenever you like. Just keep on casting it and that will improve. But destruction, you actually need a character that you want to hit in front of you. You can also alter the game slightly, make it a bit easier to level up by making the reflexes very high, but I don't want to stress myself out by relying on high reflexes. Anyway, we are going to go to the cutscene now. Now this cutscene is pretty special in terms of Elder Scrolls games. I think it's the best cutscene out of them all. And this is pretty cool. It's so 1980s type filmmaking. Reminds me of Nightmare, that old BBC show. So that was super dramatic, super over the top. So awake and look around the room, I was on a boat en route to Daggerfall when a storm boiled over the Islet Bay and my boat was destroyed, but I managed to swim from the water to a rock where I found a cave, escaping the fury of the storm. I lit a small fire and a mudslide sealed me in. My fear of being buried alive calmed when I saw a corridor leading out of the cavern. So there's a way out of here. Let's not take the tutorial, but here I am. This is Privateers Hold, the tutorial dungeon where so many people failed. We check our inventory. What we have is got Curious. We also have ourselves a Iron Longsword. We also have ourselves Ebony Dagger. Ebony Dagger does 9 to 14 and that does 0 to 14 damage. We are skilled in long blades, but we'll take the Ebony Dagger. That Iron Longsword's pretty useless, I've got to say. Combat's a bit different in this game. You actually have to swing your sword. I've changed the key settings to correspond a bit more with Skyrim so I don't get confused, but they are pretty much different. But especially the fighting, you've just got to swing, hold down the left mouse button or the fire button and swing to actually hit someone. But as you can see, that Ebony Dagger, that's pretty high level stuff, is going to be our weapon of choice, at least for this tutorial dungeon, unless we pick up something nice. Now, our first enemy that we come up to is this rat. Poking him is the most accurate. It does the least damage, but it's the most accurate. Those rats never have treasure. We'll go and see what we got here. We've got some nice coins, and we've got an ingredient, Griffin's feather, which we can make potions. And I've never made potions in Daggerfall, so I'm not really too interested in it. Sometimes if you're lucky you can find 2 dices full of treasure. We're not so lucky now. That might be to do with luck. But if you don't have high agility, you'll have a really hard time with that rat, because if you've got low agility, let's say in the 50s, you're going to constantly get hit. We'll just check our spells. We've got a shock spell. Now, I'm not entirely sure how shock works. It was quite difficult to do, but what we need to do is you need to cast the spell, and then what you need to do is then go to the cursor option and then click on your opponent. So you can't have your weapon out at the time. Well, you can have your weapon out at the time, but you need the cursor out as well. So magic is quite tricky, but we've only got shock. Shock is damage on touch, so we're pretty much in range, need to be in range. Now it's a lot easier to poke them with my sword. As you can see, this little bat that's jumping out here, he's already knocked away a bit of our health. Giant bat. They never have any treasure either. But he's done a fair amount of damage to me. I don't have any healing spells, unfortunately. But we can go on. I mean, our health isn't too drained. I just worry that what we have is a nastier creature coming up. Here we just look at all the things that we can actually do. You can rest using Y, and that's pretty much the only way early game you're going to restore your health. Also, if you run around too much using the sprint button, you will actually eventually deplete your stamina, and that's not going to come back unless you rest either. You don't need to eat, you don't need to drink in this game, fortunately, otherwise you would rapidly die of starvation. But like we said, the only way to recharge your magic and health is really just to wait around. Now this noise that you can hear, saving your game is essential by the way, so we'll just save it. This noise that you can hear is quite typical of monsters. So you, especially early game, you can tell what's going to come up. And you got an imp. This is an imp. This is one of the... God, die! He can't cast magic, so he's not going to do too much. Occasionally he punches you and does quite a lot of damage. As you can see, we get a little marker saying press button to press spell, but he dies quite quickly. Imps sometimes carry treasure, so we'll click on him, and he's carrying a few gold for us. 3 gold pieces. Nothing really, but worth taking. There's always treasure in this room, in this cage. This is obviously where he escapes. What have we got here? We've got a holy dagger. We'll just pick that up. You can't use the holy dagger, that's just something that you can sell on later on. We'll heal ourselves, and our short blade skill has improved. We're not too worried about short blades. I don't know why on earth you actually want a short blade instead of a long blade. The only reason that I'm using this, of course, is that it's free. It's a free gift. And a long blade is far better for you. In here is another rat. Now I prefer just to kill all these animals and creatures. There's no treasure in here. Animals and creatures, because you don't want them sneaking up on you. Privateer's Hold is actually quite interesting because there are a few little quirks that come across, and I'll tell you about them later. I mean, I've played through. I've never finished Daggerfall. I've never finished it because I've just got lost